Well, this is Justin McCullough with Capital One Spark Business. We're at Small Business Festival, and I've got Matthew Pollard here. We're done. We have made it to the end of an amazing event. You probably hear the music going. People are partying, having a good time.
And so they should, right?
As
it's
it should,
festival.
right? Yeah. So I thought maybe what we do is we talk a little bit about what this week was like for you, and maybe share some things that came up, and ultimately let's just have a good time and talk about what an amazing event this was.
Yeah, definitely. I think that one of the biggest things about this year compared to last year was the fact that last year they were trying to really work out, all the small businesses were trying to work out exactly what Small Business Festival was really about, and were they going to get sold to, and what was this whole week going to give them.
Yeah.
This year it was really cool to see people coming and they had their curriculum planned. So they were like, oh, I'm going to go this on Monday, I'm doing this on Tuesday, I'm getting off work early on this day, and I'm going to get to work late on this day because they were going through the program. And I thought that was amazing. Yeah. So I think that's one of the biggest wins for SBF this year. I mean, outside the fact that last year we were in one city and this year we're in 18 states and we have 3,500 people that came out this week.
That's amazing. And we saw some of the photos of some of the other locations and they were packed.
They were, and that was a really big thing for us because I think one of the key things we saw on the stage is you want to grow, but you need to be careful not to grow too fast.
Right.
And I think a lot of people really shared that. So when we were looking at how we were going to grow and the way we were going to do it, we reached out and collaborated. And I think that's the whole point of Small Business Festival. We call it a collaborative conference because we work with a lot of collaborators to make this happen. While that's the brand, that's for everybody else to see because people need to know that that's a trusted brand and that's what they're coming out for. But every single person that we work with, they're a community partner that's trying to help, whether it be a local government, whether it be a state government, whether it be a non-for-profit. We're trying to help them reconnect because a lot of times the government's lost a relationship with the city and they're not feeling like they connect. And they offer wonderful resources for the community. Or a not-for-profit is like, we want to help people, but nobody wants to hear us. Yep. So what we've used is Small Business Festival as a way of shock and awing people into the fact that there are things outside the scope of their functional skill that if they just knew that, they could be a lot more successful. But then using that brand as a bridge to bring people back to the community partners that support people all year round. And I think this year we've done that even better, which I love to see.
Yeah, it's really been amazing talking about the curriculum and how people have come into this journey from last year to this year, the collaborators. Like everybody was talking. The small business owners were talking, the officials were talking. It was amazing collaboration. How do you develop an atmosphere of collaboration like that?
I think one of the major things is that we have to stay promotion free, we stay politics free, and we stay agenda free. So you'll see occasionally somebody will try and promote something and I'm running to the stage, or we'll see somebody say, can I put my book up, or can I have these products, or can I lead people to something, because everybody wants an ROI. I mean, that's what business is, and we say no, that's not what this festival's about. This festival is for the rest of the year, go ahead, but during National Small Business Week, give back to the community that gave you so much. So you're a small business, you remember what it was like to start small, and you needed people's advice without them leading to your agenda. And that's what this week's about. It's that opportunity that everybody has to give back. And I think that's a really powerful thing because I was shocked at how many people in the community give back every single day, but they're sick of doing it without an outcome. So they'll go and donate their time over here and they'll donate their time over there, but then they don't feel like they're part of something. And I think Small Business Festival's really given them the opportunity to feel like they're part of something. And going back to, and obviously you're from Capital One, and I think that this is a really interesting thing because Capital One's the name sponsor, and you would expect them to want to put their promotional stuff everywhere, and they'll want to have Capital One people at the back of every room. And I think that when we first sat down, I said, this is a festival, it needs money to make it happen, but none of that can happen. And Capital One really got behind that and said, well, yeah, I completely understand. Capital One Spark Business knows what it's like to be a small business, and we're happy to support that. And the word collaboration only comes when everybody supports the same message. We're here to work and help the small business, to help them educate to get better. And that helps everybody. The speaker gets more gigs. The person that has a product that's talking about their business ends up selling more product, and Capital One gets more clients. But that's not what this week's about. This week's really about just giving everybody the opportunity to celebrate small business and give them the opportunity to learn and grow for themselves.
Yeah. One of the things that may not be clear to a lot of folks is this isn't just a festival and an event. It is a business, and you approach it with a lot of integrity, right? And you want to protect not only the brand, but who the consumers are, the customers are, and ultimately that is the small business owner, right? And I think a lot of times folks are missing out on how true you are. You keep truing back to this, and it shows up in all the press, it shows up in all the media, it shows up in conversations like this. And I think ultimately that's a great signal of how businesses should run their business. They should be certain of what they're trying to accomplish, who they're trying to accomplish it with. And I got to tell you, as a spokesperson for Capital One, I love that, right? And that was a big part of when this all started, the, 4-hour conversation we had, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and we needed to make sure, like, do we really know what we can do here in the vision? And it was a wonderful thing to be able to partner with you starting last year. So thank you so much for including us in this wonderful journey.
Well, I think Capital One's one of the great partners for us because they don't think like a big bank. They think like a small business. And that's why I walked into South by and said, you have to be our sponsor because I don't want anyone else. Please don't make me approach them. And that led us to the 4-hour conversation. And it was 4 hours, but Capital One has to do their due diligence. So those things have to happen, but we got to the outcome that we needed to. And I think that what's really interesting about this event is people are astounded with the caliber of talent that we get to speak on our stage. I mean, we got Jamie Masters, the number 3 podcaster in the world for entrepreneurs, spoke on the stage because she believed it was important to give back. We had Brian Smith, who you just interviewed, and he talked to me just before he came in, and he said, this is an amazing event. He said, you give back so much and there is no agenda, and I can see that now. He goes, I don't know if I told you this, but I validated and checked your credibility before I came. He said, I reached out. So Jim Cathcart is a personal friend of mine. He spoke on the stage. He was our closing speaker last year.
Last year, yeah, of course. Jim was great.
Exactly. And for people that haven't seen that video, he's the #1 most award-winning speaker in the world. And he ended up playing guitar at the end, and it was amazing. He talked about how the average band, I mean, Austin's the music capital of the world, right? So he talked about the band is really the pinnacle of a small business and how that's allowed the Austin culture to grow. And now we're sharing that Austin culture with the rest of the world. And so Brian reached out to Jim Cathcart and said, is Matt the real deal? And he said, you've got to go. And that's why Brian came. He said he heard from me and he believed the mission, but he said nothing could be that pure. And I think that, and obviously Jim validated it, and I think that's what's happening now. Every person that comes and experiences it is sharing the fact that this specific brand is the safe place for small business. So anywhere that logo is, they know they're going to come, they're going to get great content, they're going to be able to benefit from that content they're not going to be sold to, and they're going to get the opportunity to grow and collaborate with other small businesses. And I think that's really the center of our success. It's why we get so much media, so much press coverage after the event. It's why everybody's writing about this festival. It's because we don't do everything the way everybody else has. And we're looking at expanding into Australia at the moment, and I got a message from the partner that we're looking at doing it with in Australia saying, is this one a competitor to us? Because they're coming at around the same time. And I said, we don't have a competitor. What event do you know that has a premium event and then live casts that brought for free out to the world so that people that can't afford tickets can come? Nobody does that. What other conference do you know that doesn't have all of these big places out the back trying to sell you something at the end where we don't have any of that? So I think one of the true benefits of SBF and the brand of what we've done is we have created that pure brand of it's safe, and our sponsors all get it when they come here and they see, okay, we don't want to be the only one promoting here because that'll look bad. So they've come along with what Capital One set out at the start, which is this has to be completely pure politics and promotion free.
Yeah. Well, I think what's amazing is that's collaboration in its finest with the folks in Australia asking that question. You're showing that collaboration through and through. Tell me this, why do we need a safe place for small business?
Because nowhere else is safe, right? So we go and we hear about, come and do this conference, come and experience this event, and at the end of it, we're getting sold to. And small businesses don't know whether or not this advice they got given was valuable advice to help their business or a great marketing pitch to sell them something. So we need a safe place to be able to get a whole different perspective. I mean, the media panel that you witnessed was a perfect example of that. We had people talking about paid media, and we had people talking about how to get free media. And some people were advocates of one, some people were advocates of the other, but they spoke positively and negatively about both and talked about how you could go about getting both. So it was agenda free. And even though a lot of those companies, they're competitors, competitive collaboration is what SBF's known for. So at SBF, they collaborated and people got real material. So by us curating everything that happens on our stage, by us making sure that people come to this stage with a spirit of giving rather than a spirit of acquisition and ROI, I mean, we all know that happens later, right? Because people, when they see that somebody can understand that, then they're going to remember the brand that gave back.
Yeah.
And because of that, there is going to always be an ROI, just not on our stage. It's because they resonated with that message, and that's what we want. So I think when small businesses look at moving towards a safe place, it's because, let's face it, I mean, everybody out there that's watching now, I mean, you're in a situation where you're doing this business on your own. And I mean, Justin, you've been a small business owner yourself. You feel isolated. Even if you've got a partner, even that comes sometimes, unless you've got a great relationship, can be tricky, and you don't know who to ask for advice. And if you're doing it on your own and you've got a whole team, well, you're their boss. So how do you can't talk to them, and there's no place to go. And if you do go somewhere, if I'm a dry cleaner, I'm going to go hang out with other dry cleaners. If I'm an accountant, I'm going to go hang out with other accountants. I think one of the key things about this festival is that we bring people from all industries together. So we have complete collaboration. I mean, my last business was an educational facility, and we had 3,500 business owners that studied with us. And while the content was great, while the presenter was great, all that was nowhere near the benefit to the hairdresser talking to the builder, talking to the lawyer, talking to the accountant, and sharing ideas of what's working in their industry. And that's how businesses grow.
Yeah, I agree with that. You know, a couple of questions came to mind, and I want to get us to a sort of a close with a couple thoughts here. One is, if there are some small business owners out there who maybe saw this last year or just started seeing it this year, what are you hoping that they're going to see if they were not quite sure if they wanted to go to one of the community events or to see the stuff that's available online? What would you tell those folks right now if this is the video they're watching, so that they can understand? Obviously, they have heard about the event. What are they going to get out of all those community panels that were recorded, the premier event stuff that was recorded? What's in it for them?
Definitely. Well, because that question's for them, I'm going to talk to them instead.
Yeah.
So one of the major things about Small Business Festival is it's different to anything else you've experienced. So at Small Business Festival, you don't hear from a speaker that read a book once and they created this wonderful keynote presentation and they're out there speaking about it. The thing that makes Small Business Festival different is that when people get on the stage, these are real business owners. They have failed at many things. They've succeeded at many things, and they're sharing their battle scars. They're sharing their successes, and they're telling you it was hard, but it was worth it. And that's the difference. And they're also going to share with you probably something you don't want to know, which is now that they're successful, it's still hard, but it's still worth it. And I think that's the real difference. And I think you were telling me earlier yesterday that the stories are raw. You never expected people to share such intimate details about their life. I mean, we had one speaker, and he's a close personal friend of mine, and he shared a story about how he had a fall, and it took him 10 years to recover, and he choked halfway through.
That's right.
And for him, it was so important to give that information away because he believed he could help people. And I got up and I spoke and I said, one thing about small business owners is that we have to have our heart on our sleeve. And sometimes it can be a little bit vulnerable. And when we fall, we have to have the opportunity to be picked back up. And I like to think Small Business Festival is the opportunity to pick everybody up. So we had keynote speaker after keynote speaker, and the programming was amazing. I mean, I was at this event, and I actually wanted to go to this event because I was looking at all the speakers, and that was like, wow, I'm going to learn some stuff for this one. And every now and then I get to sit and watch one, and this was the one I wanted to see.
Yeah.
What was interesting is I spoke to this speaker afterwards, and I said to him, if you don't finish this speech now, if you don't do this right now, you're never going to do this again. And he got the confidence up to come back, and we got him to come back to the stage, and I got back on, and I said, don't you ever wish you're in a sale and you said something horribly wrong, and you're like, wow, I wish I did not do that. I wish I had said it differently. I wish I had a second chance. Or maybe you're at a networking event and you ran into the guy from Capital One that can help you fund your festival, and you said everything wrong, and you're like, wow, I wish I got a second chance. Well, Small Business Festival's all about second chances. So I welcomed the speaker back onto the stage, and he nailed it. I mean, I got goosebumps. I see thousands of speakers, and I got goosebumps the entire way through because this was the best speech I had seen in the entire festival. And I've watched so many speeches throughout this, but because it was so raw and it was so honest, it was powerful. And I have never seen a speaker at a community event get a standing ovation, but this guy did.
That's wonderful.
And that to me is the heart and soul of what Small Business Festival is.
That's great. So one last question for you. Every now and then we like to see Superman look like Clark Kent. All right, so this question is, you're a small business owner. When you think about just all the experience you've had as a small business owner over all these years, you've put on this great festival, what would you like to tell those at home right now who are building their business? What's a pearl of wisdom as a one business owner to another business owner you want to share?
I think one of the most interesting things about small business, and for the people, I'm going to speak to the people that are trying to figure things out. And the reason for that is because I feel like we're always trying to figure things out. And for a lot of us, for the people that aren't succeeding, whether you're in business and you're trying to figure out the right steps forward, or whether you're wanting to make that step into small business ownership and you can't figure out all the steps, so you don't move forward. You just stay stagnant. You're spinning your wheels and you're not moving in the direction you need to go. And what we know about business is if you're not moving forward, you're actually flying backwards. So for the people that are watching that are in that situation, and I would love to say this is my quote, but Robert Kiyosaki has a quote that says the reason why there's not more successful entrepreneurs in this world is because they're waiting for all the lights along the way to be green. And that's why they're not successful. So you need to just get started. Start putting into action and start creating momentum around what you do. I mean, my brand's about rapid growth.
Sure.
And rapid growth is not, I had an idea, I do one thing and bang, I explode. I've got a whole academy and a whole series of clients that I educate that momentum and rapid growth is all about putting the right steps in the right order together to create an unparalleled momentum to create a rapid growth business. You don't know what every step is. What you need to know is what the next few steps are and start down that journey. And what you need to bank on is that those red lights will turn green as you get there, not through luck, but through learning, through relationships, and through collaboration. Yep. And that's the goal of Small Business Festival. Our goal is to make sure that everybody out there gets the opportunity to collaborate so that those lights turn green as you go down that path towards success.
And I saw that. We had folks attending this conference that were at various points in that journey. One light was already green, 2 lights were already green for some of them. Some of them were getting that 3rd green light. And I definitely agree, like what you're saying is spot on for who the small business owner is in their journey. And I got to tell you, this was an amazing week. I got to meet a lot of amazing people, and I got to see some people have some true knowledge dropped on them that was freeing the way for their businesses to grow. And we got to share some great conversations back here in this very place, and some beautiful stories were told. And no doubt it's going to help so many people. Thank you so much for hosting this event, for bringing great people in, for sharing it with Capital One Spark Business, and ultimately for giving this gift to small business owners, because it really is a safe place.
Well, Justin, I want to thank you. I know it's a long time since we sat down and had that initial meeting, but very few brands and very few people would support this so heavily right from the get-go and really foster that relationship to get all stakeholders involved in such a short period of time, and then help us grow this rapidly, because it would scare a lot of brands.
That's right.
And for Capital One to help us do that, it shows a real spirit for small business, and it shows that, I mean, let's face it, when you want to grow a business, you want a bank that can think outside the square.
Yeah.
You want a bank that can be flexible, and we appreciate you being that for us.
Yeah, thank you. So where can people find out more?
Well, people can find out more by going to smallbusinessfestival.org, and I would urge everybody, don't wait for the next year's event. Go and click on the past year's videos and watch that content. We record all of it and curate it to make sure that everybody out there can learn right throughout the year. So please don't miss out on the opportunity to check those videos out.
Great, thank you. Well, I'm Justin McCullough, and this is Matthew Pollard. We're with Small Business Festival. Have a great day.
Thank you.